Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. This article comes to you guys from RCR Wireless. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So as T-Mobile is now fiber focused, right? You saw that with the recent announcement, or speculation still, but Mike Sievert, early departure, the new COO that was just moved in by Deutsche Telekom, right? There was no opening for that position. They weren't looking for anybody as far as we knew. They just moved him into that position, and he was in charge of fiber at DT, Deutsche Telekom. So T-Mobile US makes fiber-focused play with new broadband offering. So it's clearly a shift in strategy, right? It's all about connecting up homes with the next generation of broadband. Everybody's using more, usage is increasing. So T-Mobile wants to be a part of that, right? They don't want to miss out. They don't want to lose out on revenue. They want to be a part of it. So here's the next point. By partnering, which is what T-Mobile has done, they have not built out any of their own and operated fiber. Has not happened. By partnering rather than overbuilding, T-Mobile US seeks to accelerate growth in underserved areas without assuming the financial burden of nationwide fiber deployment. Again, once you're deploying fiber, that takes CapEx, right? So T-Mobile would have to increase, as I've said in videos long time ago. The only time T-Mobile's CapEx should severely increase to 15, 16, 17, 18 billion is when they start deploying their own and operated fiber. That was the only need, right? The 9 to 10 billion, maybe 11, 12 billion would be that's a solid amount of money going into wireless. It's a lot. It's a lot of money if you're just talking pure wireless. So that's what T-Mobile is looking to do. They're looking to continue to expand the open access partnerships in underserved areas so they don't have to assume all of that financial burden of a nationwide fiber deployment. So what they do in these partnerships, they use cash on hand. They pay the operator like Lumos, Metronet. They give them $6 billion and say, hey, go and build it out. And that payment is a one-time payment, does not come out of CapEx, right? It's a payment. T-Mobile has cash on hand. They have some free cash flow, whatever the case, and they just drop a one-time payment and then they're done, right? So just something to think about when you're looking at this. They don't want to assume the financial burden of a nationwide deployment. So 12 to 15 million homes until guidance changes. That's still the target by 2030. Here's a quote, and this is also new position that I was unaware of. So we're building on that momentum with T-Mobile or T-Fiber by teaming up with local fiber providers, including Lumos and soon Metronet, to bring high-speed connectivity to even more people, said Alan Samson, the chief broadband officer. I didn't even know they had a chief broadband officer. So that's another new position that I just discovered. And that's what he told RCR Wireless News. In many of these areas, we're offering a real alternative for the first time, breaking through where traditional providers have been absent or unchecked for too long. So this is the approach or the strategy that they wanted to go with. Be there before anyone else. Be the first to market to town with fiber, and then bring your national brand, national scale to it, and then grow the convergence that way. So it says here, instead of building its own nationwide fiber infrastructure, T-Mobile is working with regional providers through joint ventures and wholesale agreements. This approach, according to Samsung, enables faster market entry, which is true, by combining T-Mobile's national brand and customer experience with local deployment expertise of companies like Lumos. In most cases, our partners manage the fiber infrastructure, Samsung said. T-Mobile brings the national scale, customer relationships, and simplified broadband experience. So again, even after this lengthy process, T-Mobile will still be relatively new to fiber, and they will still not own and operate it. Could that change in the future? I just don't know. At this point in time, I mean, because there's two parts to this, right? If you're doing fiber to the prem, even if it's owned and operated, that does not mean that the last mile fiber is going to the cell, right? So those are two different things, right? So T-Mobile has clearly stated at a lot of conferences now and capital markets day or analyst days that they're going to continue to lease fiber to the cell. And they've made no efforts to change that. So that tells us if you're financially disciplined, if you're looking at your balance sheet, that should tell us all that the leasing option works, right? If it works, why are you all of a sudden buying your own fiber, deploying it to the cell when the leasing works, right? If the leasing didn't work, T-Mobile's leadership team should be smart enough to pivot and say, hey, this is just not working. But other providers are out there, and in some markets there are multiple providers that are fighting for your business. So it's always available, right? And T-Mobile is now scaling up the fiber, and there's many more multi-gig sites and backhaul that's being implemented. So it seems that strategy seems to work. And they're taking that same strategy to fiber to the premise. They're leasing the fiber, right? So they're leasing the fiber that's going to the home. They're attaching their brand, national scale partnerships, relationships with the customer, right? So there's a house, as an example, that has Lumos or Metronet, right? But they're not yet, the customer that lives inside the home is not yet a Lumos or Metronet customer. So then they might be a T-Mobile wireless customer. Now Lumos and Metronet have just gained a higher probability or chance of getting that customer to join fiber as well. And T-Mobile also gets a cut of that. They now have billing, right? They're going to bundle that customer onto billing. And now T-Mobile gets a cut of the money. They get a longer term customer, and in return, they should get lower churn. So this works out for all parties involved, including T-Mobile. But it does seem they have a fiber-focused strategy moving forward that is bigger than they're leading on publicly currently, right? We only know guidance through 2030, but I guarantee you they have internal models through 2035, 2040 that show, okay, we really want to get to 30 million homes. We want to get to 40 million homes. We just don't know that publicly yet, but T-Mobile has to have bigger ambitions and goals internally. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.